Right, and welcome to another mega 60 minutes of total raw power. And mega is in fact the opposite word. Bearing in mind that we're joined today by none other than the Megadaves from Megadeth. How you doing, chaps? All right?
All right. How are you?
Oh, very well indeed. Very well indeed. Yes, and anyway, you've been sort of out and about, you know, in the States and stuff, touring. You're back over here. Feel good, sort of back here, do you?
Yeah, really good. It's really good. Seems like we were just here.
Well, you are just here.
We were just here about 7 months ago. No, actually, we just came from Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. We were touring. It was kind of like the Pacific tour that we were doing, and it's good to be back over here again now.
Right. Well, as you can see, we've left the marquee for far more exotic climbs, the Guinness World of Records. And in fact, that's simply because Dave here is in fact reputed for having the biggest mouth in the world, and I'm sure you won't mind me saying that. Right. Anyway, coming up next, Steve Vai. Steve Vai, a big influence on you guys? I shouldn't imagine so, but
No, not really. No.
Not really. Very diplomatic there. Well, here's Steve Vai. Well, we're joined by the inimitable Robert Wadlow, and apparently the tallest man in the world and a bit of a legend in his own lunchtime. He died when he was 22, poor guy. Anyway, on to another fatality, Phil Lynott. The great Phil Lynott, the late Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy, of course. We've got 10 copies of a video to give away. It's called Dedication, after the album of the same name. Now, was Lizzy a big influence on you? Did you ever play Lizzy covers in the early days when you were in sort of cover bands?
Yeah, they weren't really like a big influence, but in the bands that I was playing in, like when I was growing up, you know, we was kind of thing like you'd play some original songs and some cover songs. So it was like played, you know, like the classics like Don't Believe a Word, Boys Are Back in Town, just the familiar ones. You know, it's kind of too bad that those guys never really broke that big in America. But, I mean, my favorite album from those guys was the Live and Dangerous record, which is like a great live album. It was back in the days when everybody used to make, you know, like double live records, which people don't really do too much anymore, you know. But Phil Lynott was like an excellent bass player, I thought, too, you know, as well as a good songwriter, too. And I started to become kind of a fan of Gary Moore through Thin Lizzy, you know, from like the Black Rose album, especially from there. And you know, there's like a lot of really good guitar players that were in there too. I mean, the days of Brian Robertson, Scott Gorham, classic lineup. This guy would have been a hell of a bass player by the way it looks of his hands here, huh?
Right, to win one of these compilation videos, the best of Thin Lizzy, what you have to do is tell us where Phil Lynott was born. Anyway, here Lizzy themselves with The Boys Are Back in Town. Anyway, we're sort of joined now by Robert Earl Hughes, apparently the fattest man in the world, and I believe he died of being rather overweight. Somebody who isn't, though, of course, is Dave Mustaine. You're in rather good shape at the moment, Dave.
Thank you.
Been doing anything to sort of slim down or anything like that?
Nothing really different. A little exercise, a lot of sex.
A lot of sex, yes, right.
Well, I got married, so that helped.
Yeah, right. Well, the sort of next Megadeth track we're going to go into is In My Darkest Hour. Something which, you know, seems to be a bit of a personal sort of song as far as you're concerned. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. It's written basically about how people expect a lot out of you, and not being able to live up to, you know, the pressures that they put on myself, and the fact that I kind of think that sometimes it's better, you know, if I just wasn't here. Although I really don't feel that way anymore. At the time I wrote it, I did. Anyway, see what you think about it.
Got stuff there from Megadeth, and now it's time for a bunch of chaps who are doing a bunch of rather strange things behind us. Yes, the members of Uriah Heep, ladies and gentlemen. That's Mick Box there in fine form.
We got some real characters back. I'd like to take this chick home from a barn, like find all this ink underneath her clothes, huh? we got a true metaler back here. This guy laying on a bed of nails with another bed of nails over top of him, 3/4 ton of metal on top of him.
Very heavy indeed. Very heavy
things
indeed.
People do, not even for money, you know.
Well, just for fun, in fact. Yeah, right.
How about that?
Back to Uriah Heep, though. Yeah, Uriah Heep, a band that, were you into him at any point?
Actually, I saw Uriah Heep. When I was 12 years old, I went to go see a Kiss concert. First concert I ever went to. And Uriah Heep opened for him, and they were so loud. It was, like, unbelievable. The cement was shattering at the place, at the venue, you know, and I've always kind of had a place in my heart for Uriah Heep, you know. It's like the really early stuff I thought was pretty cool. It was really heavy. It was kind of like straight from like the full acid metal vein, you know. And I don't know. I haven't really been into too much what they've been doing lately, but you know, they had their moments where they were good. That classic Hammond B3 organ vibe, you know.
Yeah, right. Well, in fact, they've just released their millionth album, Different World, and here they are to talk about it. Right, in February this year, Motorhead released their brand new album, their ninth album, I think. It's called 1916, and that was the new single from that, I'm So Bad. And Dave, in fact, since you recently tied the knot and got married, are you still so bad?
Well, not really. I'm no longer a fornicator. I'm now an adulterer.
What is this new married life going to see you sort of mellowing out in any way? You know, any ballads on the albums?
No, not really.
Oh, well, pure and simple, straight to the point. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to sort of be making any sort of compromises musically or sexually or otherwise?
No, well, she's going to start playing keyboards like Paul McCartney and Linda.
Yeah, I can see it now, I can see it now. And presumably there'll be bootlegs of her awful backing vocals floating around as well.
Yeah, I got to train her how to play keyboards and do a peace sign at the same time now.
A bit tricky for some, right. Time for something totally different now, in fact. John Waite, the ex-Babies frontman, and I think he was in Bad English at some point. In fact, he probably still is. Here's his new single, Deal for Life, taken from the Days of Thunder soundtrack. Well, David Lee Roth there, wearing his sensible shoes and showing a bit of flesh as well, as is customary. Now, one thing about Megadeth, though, I must say, is in your videos, you've never been sexist in any way. Do you agree with that?
Oh, we don't need women to sell our music. We still have talent.
Yeah, right. I mean, the last video, though, Holy Wars, was pretty controversial. I mean, bearing in mind what happened, you know, the golf and all that stuff. I mean, any regrets about that?
No. Why should I have a regret about it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, it was just a bit of a sort of incendiary situation, which, you know, I'm not going to say Megadeth aggravated it or started it or anything like that, but, you know, it just could have got out of hand, really.
Well, I had nothing to do with it.
All right, fair enough. Well, Hangar 18 is your current single, and that's the next video we're going to see. From what I understand, there's a bit of a story behind Hangar 18 itself. Would you care to tell us that?
Hangar 18 is a place in the Four Corner State region of the United States. That's where Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah, they all are bordering on each other. And apparently the government is withholding information from the civilians there about material that's inside of this hangar there that's numbered 18. Apparently there was an aircraft that crash landed in the area over there, and it was confiscated by the government, and it had certain life forms inside of it that weren't human. And
so that's where you came from then, yes, I get it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And they are denying the fact that that ever happened. But it's come to a lot of people's attention that in fact, that there are aliens that live there, or that exist, and that are in Hangar 18. Also, there's a lot of failed experiments and mutations and genetic accidents and stuff like that. I'm sure you'll see in this video that there's a lot of different forms of aliens as far as prosthetic makeup is concerned, and there's certain costuming and stuff like that. And I think that this video is really it's a change for us, because it's done on film instead of video, and we're progressing into a different element that we've never worked with before. Plus, the producer that did it, he did two versions. The version you're going to see, you can't see in the United States, so consider yourself lucky.
Well, here we are at the end of another rip-roaring 60 minutes. All that remains for me to say is thanks a lot to the Megadeth for coming down. Any last few words?
You've read the book, now come see the show.
Dave?
That was awful.
What he just said, yeah. Right.
Oh my God.
Book of World Records.
I'm glad it's over.
Well, thank you very much. Anyway, we'll leave you with Voivod, one of my favourite bands, Tribal Convictions. See you next week.